I'll take a different approach with this stream. Um, Not that anyone has to listen. Hopefully the title's been updated because I did try to do that. However, having some technical difficulties with Restream. Now, one frustration I do see with Restream is it doesn't let you update your YouTube video straight away, so you have to kind of go back and do it. But that's not the point of this stream. The point of this stream, I thought, would be how to approach a community that is suffering, you know, due to already suffering due to a price pullback, of a token that we could all imagine. Maybe there's a couple of tokens, maybe there's three, maybe there's more. And how to tell a community that maybe our own actions have contributed to the situation that currently we are in. But also kind of highlighting there could be a lack of leadership. It's a very difficult stream to really talk to. So I thought, well, I haven't seen too many. We'll give it a shot. And if you hear this, congratulations, you found Easter egg bonus content. If not, keep on doing your thing. Now, I've got to say that it's most likely that we're all experiencing some level, larger players more so than smaller players, a certain level of, I don't know how you explain it, frustration, anxious. Maybe the smaller ones, balances are coming close to zero. Who knows? Maybe the larger ones have seen huge amounts pull right back to the very early days. So again, this is not to attack any particular one in the community. I am part of this community quite happily, and I do think, that just I would like to point this out without copping too much flack. Now, we can see, well, let's explore some factors that may have contributed to the price pullback and discuss how we can maybe, address them. Now, one thing I would like to think, I guess, would be possibly a live stream from Richard Hart himself, because I do feel that at the moment, the community as a whole, almost the first phrase that came to my mind was a boat with no rudder in rough waters heading into rougher waters. Now, if you can imagine a boat without a rudder, without any oars either, that's going to be a hard ship to steer, yeah? But anyway, now, that's not to say that it's anyone's fault. It's more just to point out that, we're in a complex, situation, and we can be influenced by a multitude of factors, including market sentiment itself, external events that, maybe it's legal or regulatory events in certain jurisdictions, I don't know, and also, I guess, trading dynamics. The players who are at some points in time for Hex, maybe they're not for Hex. Maybe they're large players who are borderline saboteurs, just because they can, because they have large bags, and then you have lots of money, you can do whatever you want. Now, again, this is not attacking anyone. Even if you were a saboteur, then the product should be so healthy, so dominant, it should be able to like counteract any of this and be anticipated of this. Now, this is where I think the T-share price does come into play, and but we're all aware of this because we've sort of gone through the mantra of what Hex is about. If you haven't, maybe brush up on some homework. Now, I guess I can offer my insights. Now, instead of telling you all that we all fucked up, we all sold too much, or we all didn't buy enough, or something along the lines of that, I'd like to analyze some potential contributing factors. I think we can, the biggest one to me that stands out, other than the sacrifice phase itself, which brought about the large price increase, which brought about the all-time highs, which brought about the euphoria, which made people made me think that the all-time highs will continue to hit all-time, like further all-time highs. So when we go back and we experience those highs, these lows that we're currently experiencing, for myself, are pretty devastating. However, I'm not the smallest player. I'm also not the largest. So we all may have mixed feelings about this. I do believe that for whatever reason, once the sacrifices that were, my opinion is that sacrifices that were not from Richard Hart's products were not political sacrifices. It's like saying I've set up a charity. And again, not a legal analyst here, but it's like saying I've set up a charity. Here's the donation address. Then you donate to the charity. No receipt is received, and you find out the charity is not compliant with the laws that would make it a charity which you can claim something back against. That was my first initial take on sacrifices which took place outside of the Richard Hart tokens such as Pulse and Pulse X. Now, the political freedom of speech and the political freedom of movement and the political movement to transact as a part of that, as a continuation on from that, I feel was a very noble and worthy cause for a sacrifice. However, if there was other sacrifices which were just labeled a sacrifice for the sake of labeling a sacrifice, I found that slightly different. Now, I also found that some products, I'm pretty sure they're already out. Some of them I did hear about. Some of them I had less interest in. Like things like NFTs. I'm not overly excited with them, but again, HSIs are a curious technology development that's come about, which is technically an NFT when you think about it, but almost a financial NFT. And other things like the ability to be able to leverage loan against things like Pulse Chain. Now, I think that currently, if the prices continue to go down much lower, at what point does it hit all-time lows? I'm not sure it ever can. Not sure it ever will. But there is the possibility that once the lows are hit, right, then you can see that it can only sort of stay and go sideways. It can also potentially go up from there. So that might be a positive in the long term, because we are yet to see these other products that I'm not so familiar with actually come out and be released, and how that injection of economic energy may or may not be used. We are seeing, however, different liquidity pools forming, which is fine. I'm not too sure how I feel about that, to be honest, because when you have a concentrated deep pool, generally it's a better thing. You could argue it's harder to move prices, but again, the cryptocurrency market is, although large, relatively small to legacy in terms of millions and millions of dollars turned over like every day. Billions globally, I would say, in the legacy. Crypto, I haven't seen the figures, so I can't speak on it, but I would imagine is lacking behind things like a superannuation. People who have held their stakes for all their life, and once they hit the end stake button for that 401k in the US or superannuation in Australia, you would see large figures being paid out on the daily, moving and injecting huge amounts of liquidity into the economy. Now, this is what Hex, I think, is possible. It's possible that Hex will do this in the future. So that's my sort of insight on the whole ecosphere. Not overly negative. Just waiting to see what the next step is, basically, because it could be lower, but then after the lows, we could see things change for the better, hopefully. Um, I guess I could highlight some positive steps. Well, with the lack of not lack of leadership, but the less vocal, the less appearances publicly, the less words being spoken. We still see a fairly strong, engaged community. Now, I would say again, it's been fractured somewhat, which is, I guess, fine. We're seeing different products and people that follow those different products emerge again, hence the fracturing. Um, I still think the community is coming together to try and think about sort of solutions to how we all together can potentially support Hex or Pulse Chain or Pulse X. But it's hard to do that when you have your own product, which it's not as if it's countering or it is against Hex or Pulse Chain or Pulse X. But when you have a not attacking, but just if you have another exchange on Pulse Chain when you're building some innovation, which is fine. Excuse me, it's hard to sort of say go back and use the native Pulse X exchange. It is also hard to, if you're working on some other project, whatever it may be, to explain that this can make you some income, yield, whatever, and then to go back to inject economic energy into Hex or Pulse Chain. It's almost as if it's sort of a one-way street at the moment. Hence why you're seeing economic activity extracted from the Hexagon community around the all-time highs, and those extractions, I might have missed it. I don't think they're net neutral. I think they're net negative in terms of the pure economic energy that was stripped from the hexagons at that point in time. Again, that's more an individual's choice because it's your crypto. You can do what you want. Maybe some people maybe they ripped out a few million, I don't know, and have gone on a world tour and they're going to come back home. Who knows? But the others that could have done that, they didn't, and then they're sort of sitting around like myself, whinging and bitching, making streams like this, not from a tropical paradise. So, where was I going with that? Possible solutions. Oh, that's right. So, bringing back to the possible solutions, I guess one of them, it sounds silly, but it might just be to wait it out and see what actually happens with these other products that get released. Because once this, once this economic energy comes back into the space, it might be interesting where it's deployed. Now, I kind of covered this. I should have covered this before I went through my ramblings just before about people extracting value, etc., because and the difficulties when there's different communities now. Because if you're trying to, focus in on Hex or Pulse Chain, it's extremely hard to do that at this point in time. It's almost got to the point where the community itself has almost dispersed, especially without a vocal focus point such as like a live stream from Richard Hart. There are others out there making absolutely amazing efforts, a lot better than I. However, their objectives are different to mine. Again, because I'm purely focusing on Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. Others may sort of drift off. I don't mind the Hedra stuff and the Icosa and the HSIs. Very cool. I didn't get that much into the Decis, but they seem okay. What else? Free airdrops, yeah. The usual. That's what I sort of look at personally. And what I've seen is the fragmentation. The solution, again, I guess the solution at this point is I'm undecided. Can a live stream bring back the harmony and unison of an entire community, whilst in the background, different products exist, different projects exist, which clearly extracted value from the initial Hexagon community. I'm not so sure. I'd like to think it would. I'd like to think it would help. I'd like to see some clear guidance in terms of some wise wisdom, I guess, being dropped on the Hexagons from the creator himself. Just to, even if to speak on the whole hex, what is better, what potentially could be better. But again, there's it's not from the expectation, but just purely to hear some opinion. It doesn't have to be guidance at all. I'm sure everyone could appreciate that. Now, transparency. Let's have a look. So, if there were decisions or actions that contribute to the pullback, transparency is key. I think I pretty much covered that before, whereby individuals in the community, most likely, as I said before, extracted value, took profits, and just did not sort of act in a way that I acted, which is not that I'm saying they have to, because everyone's different, everyone has free will, but with the objective of achieving higher highs, and I don't know if you can say not changing your lifestyle too vastly. Maybe just maybe there were individuals, I don't know who they might be, that took profits, which is fine. You can do that, as the saying goes, without murdering the price, though. And then it's hard to sort of sit back, not knowing who they were, and then listen to, I'm on a stream like me. Like, some people might think I might be the one who took some profits or something and murdered the price, and it's like, no, I didn't. I'm telling you that. Trust me. And if the transparency was there, saying, well, I, took profits of this much, well, maybe of this much, and then I built this, and then this did that, and this did that, that would be amazing. Or it's like, but then it's like, if another example would be if I took all these profits and I dumped it on everyone, I didn't tell anyone, and I told everyone else that it's going to a lot higher. That's another transparency issue that maybe could have brought about the fracturing of the Hexagon community, which I think is happening. But again, this is just my opinion. I think we all, like, after going through that, we know what basically took place. I think at this point, everyone goes on explaining how I should have taken more profit. So I think that's the learning opportunity we, as a whole community, are able to take away from this. That is not to expect, if there's that word again, not to expect that everyone else is looking out for you, because unfortunately they are not. And hopefully after this previous all-time high and what we've seen play out, we've learned lessons from that, and hopefully some of them are not all negative, because we are seeing, hopefully soon, some of these other projects come online. Hopefully we're going to see some economic injection, and then we can see from there where the economic injection is actually going. Is it going to loop back, so to speak, to Hex and Pulse Chain and PulseX, or is it going to be diverted off onto other platforms, products, etc.? Excuse me. Which I think transparency is on the blockchain. You will be able to see that. However, as to who's done what, it's not so transparent. Now, again, I think this is already taking place. Basically, everyone's sort of explaining their side, kind of explaining their side. I'm not in the loop as to what is going where and who's doing what. So this is just from a pure outside analysis. What else? I haven't really seen the engagement. What I would love to see, to be honest, would be a open discussion between Richard Heart the founder of Hex, Pulsechain, PulseX, and then everyone else who's built products on Pulsechain. Thereby, we could see an updated worldview, and then this is once everything's completed. Once the funds have been transferred wherever they're going to be transferred and products have been rolled out, and how it's affecting the system, irrespective of regulatory requirements in terms of legal proceedings, which may or may not be taking place in some jurisdictions, reportedly. Irrespective of that, I would love to see like an entire community given the ability to voice their ideas, perspectives, and how it's affected, I guess, specifically Hex and specifically Pulsechain and specifically PulseX. That would be maybe something that I'm not sure if that will ever happen, but that would be good to see something like that take place in the future. Imagine Vitalik sitting around and all the developers and builders that built on top of Ethereum, and then him speaking to them and them giving, I guess, feedback saying, we love building on Ethereum because of X, Y, Z. And then Vitalik being able to explain, it was amazing to be able to provide such a facility for all of you to build on, and this is how it benefited Ethereum in this way, and this is how it benefited Ethereum in this way. With Pulsechain and Hex and PulseX, it's still so early, and it's still, well, Hex still exists on Ethereum. It is still so early on Pulsechain, with the building, I don't think anywhere near completed for that to occur. So I would love to see that in the next, within the next 12 years or so. Now, I'll wrap this one up, but what I'll leave you all with now is just a brief. This is the reason why I would like to see another live stream take place. It's more, almost an ability to ask directly questions about X, Y, Z, because previous live streams, it's not that they're not aging well, it's more the fact that they can be taken out of context, and I think an updated world view would be appreciated by the community, if not just purely for the opinion on Hex on which particular chain, whether that be a ghost chain, Ethereum, or Pulsechain. But I'll play this and you'll understand what I mean, hopefully. Hopefully the audio comes through. I might have to beat myself out. Take a look. Right.
They're just going to force hexagons into greatness. So are we front page on CoinGecko where we belong? No. Why not? We're front page on Nomics. We're front page on Coin Paprika. Are we front page on CoinMarketCap? No. Why? Because some of these sites don't suck, and some of them do suck. And if you suck, don't expect us to be working with you. Don't expect us to be nice to you. You had 2 years to figure it out. Hi, I'm the guy that writes free self-help books. I'm the guy that has a free self-help YouTube channel. I'm the guy that calls the top on the day. I'm the guy that's giving out millions of dollars of free coins exclusively to Bitcoin holders with Hex. I'm the guy that raised $28 million for charity. I'm the best person in crypto. I demand the respect now. It's been 2 years. Binance has been hacked. KuCoin's been hacked. BitMEX founders went to jail. KX founders went to jail. Everyone can eat a D. We earned the respect, and we will have it now. All you guys that got exchanges, I know how to fill out paperwork. It ain't hard. Oh, you got your own chain? I know how to hire devs. I don't need your devs, right? Like, just this idea that these people will eventually be nice and intelligent and friendly and fun, I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to be Peter Schiffs. I think a lot of these scumbags out there that are hiding Hex from the world, they're Peter Schiffs. They don't realize that what we built is better than anything they ever dreamed. They just can't get it into their brains. Peter Schiff can't bring himself to press the green buy button. But he should have. Time and time and time again, he should have. He should have learned. And so everybody else in crypto is going to just watch us do it right now. Because ain't nobody else in this game better than I am. Nobody. Who's a better marketer than me?
So, what I'm saying is people may go back, have a look at this particular not that specific part, but when you look at what did take place, um, I mean, to be fair, there was even more fuckery that took place within the centralized exchanges, FTX and the like. A lot of actual crypto banks collapsing, etc., etc. But we did see a long gap between Pulse Chain actually coming out. We did see a long gap in any real updates of credible, time frames. And we did see the initial launch take place, and we did see the bridge have some issues, allowing certain participants, easier access to certain markets because they were actually already in the system, which is fine if you're in the system. However, if you wanted a whole tsunami of people outside the system who were interested in system to engage with system and they cannot, maybe that puts some people off from the start. I don't know. Just some things like that, yes, the price performance of Pulse Chain did increase initially. However, currently it's sitting at less than SAC rate on across all three: Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. So arguably, right at this point in time, you could say it's the perfect buying opportunity because this is when you are going to make a lot of money if the prices go up. However, some people will also argue that at this point in time, prices are extremely low and it doesn't look good. The optics are not good. The optics did not look good. And this is factually speaking, unfortunately. Again, this is not to blame anyone in particular, because, like I said, this is not the point of the stream. I'm just pointing out if these clips exist, they can be taken out of context because people can go back and say, "Oh, look at this, look at that," and without any update, explanations, future live streams to be able to address and engage with other builders, the community, to answer questions like this. Like you could even have simple things going, "Yeah, it was pretty fucked," it was pretty fucked, and this is what's happening now. But I don't know if we'll ever see that. So that was my sort of way to ruin the entire stream by ripping on the boss. That was not my intention. But I think if you listen to the stream, play it back, you might be able to appreciate some feedback, and just sort of take into account it's not a hit piece on anyone. It's not blaming. I'm trying to frame it in the best way, and I guess in the future, once the building's finished, we might well be in a position whereby the transparency has increased because the builders have stopped building, and the community can be involved and provide feedback on their finished products, on top of the finished Pulse Chain, on top of the finished Hex. It's probably hard to do at this point in time. So from that point of view, I can understand why you might not want to open a live stream and be like, "Yo, rip into me," sort of thing. If you were someone like Richard Hart, the founder of Hex and Pulse Chain and Pulse X. Now that is about it. Hopefully that was, a decent listen, and hopefully we see some green candles one day in the future. All right, free speech signing out.